Hey, welcome back to Winter is Coming Live, the official Game of Thrones after show of winteriscoming.net, brought to you by Entertainment Weekly. My name is Adam Rady, and today we are talking Season 5, Episode 6 of Game of Thrones, Unbowed, Unbent, Unbroken. To my left is Alison Haislip.
What's up?
And of course, as always, to my right is Xavier Brinkman.
Hello.
So, as I mentioned, we are talking Season 5, Episode 6. There's a lot of stuff that, let's just say, left us uncomfortable at the end of this episode, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about in the episode. You guys have...
First and foremost, we
Yes.
knew there was a lot of stuff because that was the longest recap
Oh, yeah!
Game of Thrones has ever had.
Yeah, I actually stopped and I looked at you guys and I was like, hey, was that just an exceptionally
Yes!
long
It was
recap?
like 5
Basically
minutes of
longer than the
recap.
actual episode.
Yeah, they were like, oh, by the way, here's the stuff you missed. 5 seasons.
Yeah.
You missed 5 seasons worth of stuff.
But,
So,
I
real
was
quick,
gonna say,
before you-
Adam's a little
yeah.
frazzled on this one, guys. So
Yeah.
me and Alison have been calming him down.
Yeah.
And you're a little sore after seeing Sansa getting hurt, right?
Yeah, man.
We all are,
Yeah.
but Adam took it particularly hard on this one.
Yeah, it was rough. What I wanted to say was that the fans out there already are getting in their impressions of the end of this episode. Get in your impressions of all the other things that happen in this episode, because there's a lot of stuff that happens in this episode.
Use the hashtag WIC.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Allison. See,
Looking
look how
out for you.
frazzled I am,
Looking
man.
out for you.
Look
Adam's
at this.
traumatized by
Hey,
this episode.
can I ask you guys a question, though?
Yes,
Yeah.
you can.
Have you ever heard Baby Dragon sing?
Oh, that was my favorite. I was like, I want to hear Baby Dragon sing all
I
the
know,
time.
you said it out loud.
I did.
You're like, oh, it's a Baby Dragon
I
sing.
did.
So that was the question that Jorah asks Tyrion, because he basically says, hey, once you've heard Baby Dragon sing, you can't be a cynic.
Yeah.
There's just no way. Because he asks Tyrion about, do you believe there's a plan in this world?
Yeah.
That it's like destiny.
Help me out here, guys. I remember this, but like I don't remember the sounds the baby dragons made. It was just screaming, right?
That was it. That was actually,
Would you classify it as singing?
well, little known fact, Alison actually did the voiceover work for
That is,
it.
Yeah,
that is
that's-
also the noise I do for baby velociraptors hatching out of eggs in Jurassic Park.
Good.
But that
Good.
was,
Very similar. They're very similar.
Good. No, I don't think that we got to see the dragons
Yeah, yeah.
singing
Right.
yet.
because I was like, I do remember that, and it sounded like they were just screeching.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway.
But it was
carry on.
cool. It was a cool moment where Jorah and Tyrion are kind of sharing.
Yeah.
Because Tyrion mentions, he's like, you are the worst traveling companion
Yeah.
ever. And which kind of makes them both the best, because they're a lot of fun being traveling companions. But first, before this, was kind of a touching, and I do honestly think it was a mistake on Tyrion's part that he didn't mean to make, which was to tell Jorah that
About his
his
father's
father
death.
was dead.
Correct.
And
Which,
I don't...
that was part of the extremely long recap at the beginning of the episode, because I forgot that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? I forgot that was Jorah's dad
Yeah.
3 seasons ago, who was killed by the other Knights of the Watch.
Yeah, Jaor, or however you say it,
Yeah.
Jaor, Mormont. But
Yeah.
yeah, he was killed. So we do, and I think that, I'd like to think that Jorah appreciated being told in a way, like as much as he didn't want to hear it. I think there
Sure.
was kind of that moment, because then you do see them sort of sharing those stories about like, hey, you are a cynic, but there's a reason that I used to be a cynic.
It was just nice to see conversation. It was nice to see Jorah just actually speaking and opening up and, you know,
Right.
conversing. It was good to watch. They
Well,
both
and
great
also
characters.
we're now seeing that they're going to finally start kind of alliancing. They're going to form an alliance with each other.
There you go.
We'll go with that, because now they're under the control of the slavers.
Yeah, so the slavers show up, and by the way, all those dudes are just hiding in the grass. They were like,
Yeah.
hey, I bet 2 dudes are going to walk up this shore here. Let's all just be chilling, hiding right here.
Yeah, that was pretty close before they actually realized there was like 25 black guys standing there.
Yeah,
Right.
and dudes all jump up. They're gonna take him. They're gonna kill Tyrion, and they're gonna cut off his cock, because dwarves' cocks are good luck.
Are good luck.
Remember that, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
And but Tyrion once again gets one of the best lines when the guy's like, well, we'll know it's a dwarf member because of the size, and Tyrion's like, don't be so sure.
He's
And you're
guess,
like, yes!
Guess again.
Of course
Was that
there's a
right?
reason
Yeah.
Tyrion visited all those brothels so very often.
And Tyrion does the one thing that Tyrion can do, and he talks.
talks.
And he convinces them to basically, I think he's convinced them to take them both.
Yeah, he
to-
outsmaarted him for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, to Slaver's Bay, right?
Slavers Bay,
Slaver's Bay and
so they
Marine.
can get to Khaleesi.
Marine, yeah, to
Yep.
Daenerys.
Yep.
Yeah, so obviously I think the plan's still working. So we have that to look forward to. I guess that's a good thing, right? Because they're going to get there.
I hope so.
Or we think.
I would like to see both of those guys survive, but Jorah not looking so great with a little grayscale going on in his arm.
Yeah, but how cool was it, Xavier, when he was like, I killed a Dothraki blood rider in single combat. And he was like, no, you didn't. He was like, yeah, I did.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, he's about us. Can't deny that.
Yeah, so cool stuff that's happening there. So not all bad things in the episode, right, guys?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. All right, well, see, we're turning that frown upside down, all right, for you guys out there. And, of course, moving on to more just joyous and happy things is, of course, that a Lannister and a Martell make a dangerous couple.
Ooh, yes.
There was another good one. There was
very,
cool
very
stuff.
cute couple, too.
They were kind of cute, right?
Very cute.
So,
Young love.
Yeah, we jump over to Dorne, and we discover that Myrcella's not actually having the worst time of her life, and has herself kind of a
Getting freaky
romance
in the
going
water
on.
gardens, and that was the first time that we've seen him, right? The son.
Yeah, I believe the character's name is Tristane or something like that I
Yeah.
can't pronounce because I can't pronounce names.
Yeah, and then Bronn just went and laid the smack down real quick.
Yeah, he was like, don't do anything stupid.
That was-
He goes, well, that was stupid.
You knew he was going to do something stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
I did like his one-liner, though, when he was like, when they see the two of them making out, and he's like, well, she's made herself at home.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
did anyone else think that Jamie and Bronn's plan wasn't that thought out? You know,
He
coming
likes
into the
to
war?
improvise.
I know, but
Yeah, they improvised, but they just walked in broad daylight, and it was very, very obvious. And I mean, you think they would have waited for Myrcella to get away from the boyfriend, right? Like, I mean, you know,
Right.
they just approached them both. You think
Or-
that they would have summoned them somehow to, because
or
I mean,
at least had some sort of urgency with her,
Yeah.
instead of being like, hey, can I talk to you, being like, hey, we need to go now.
Yeah.
It is important.
I'm
Yeah.
going to throw this back at you.
Okay.
And I'm going to say Sand Snake's plan and Ilaria Sand's plan was even worse. Because, like, when they're talking, when they're having their, like, powwow in the tent, you know, an episode or two back, she's like, we got the Sand Snakes on it together, we're gonna unite, and then we're like, oh, okay, cool, we're seeing the resistance. And then it was just like the four of them
yeah, just like
running, and then they were like,
throwing their whips around,
Yeah,
and
they
then
were
Bronn
like-
just like stands on it. He's like, good plan.
yeah, like
Bang.
let's go out in broad daylight and grab her from the water garden. So both parties had equally horrible plans.
Yeah,
Right.
that was
And
terrible.
it ended equally horribly for all of them.
Yeah, for both of
involved.
them. Although
'Cause
maybe
the guards just
maybe the
came
worst for Bronn though.
Oh, Bronn, man. Oh, they made a big deal out of showing that he got cut, and that makes me real nervous because we all know Dornish people put poison on their blades.
I think we have to agree that is a bad
It
sign.
was really focused in on the cut, right?
Yes.
I mean, it was zoomed in on, and you saw it. Like, 'cause I mean, that's not a big. I mean, in Game of Thrones terms, if I got cut like that, big deal. But in Game of Thrones, it's not a big deal to get a little nip.
If I got cut in that in real life, I'd still be like, blah!
Yeah, I know, real life, yes, but
Not
in
good.
those terms, so they intentionally put some focus on it. Like, you have to think that Bronn is gonna suffer from this, right?
But,
So we
but
think-
love
so we think
Bronn
Bronn is-
so much.
I think
think-
Bronn's in trouble.
You think Bronn's in trouble?
Yeah.
Do you think Bronn is gonna die?
I mean,
Yes.
because it's Game of Thrones.
Yes. Xavier says yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say maybe Bronn does something badass like they do in the zombie apocalypse movies and just slices off his own arm before the poison spreads any further. And then he's one-armed like Jamie, and it's like the two of them together. Oh, did you just see this occur to me in my mind at this very moment? If
The
they're
one-armed
both
bandits?
one-armed.
You guys should all rewind and
Hello?
watch again and see
Hello?
that realization.
But it was
come across
his
your
left
face.
hand, so he can still fight. He's all right.
Right, but the two of them combined, like they're greater than the sum of their parts or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, good.
Or the
All right.
sum of their parts. Yes. You know, I think I'm wondering if you're right, Xavier, and that he's gonna die, and if it isn't sort of foreshadowed by him saying he wants a boring death because he just wanted to just make it to the end.
I
He
mean,
wanted to get out of the business,
that-
basically.
That's assuming that he even gets away from these guards, right? I mean, before
Right.
his sickness gets to him. So that's an interesting one. Ready
Yeah.
for it.
But another, I think, final thought on this was a really cool, and I'm gonna mispronounce the name, Hota, who's the guard of
With the
Prince.
axe.
Yeah, of Prince Doran. He's got the big.
Hey, I'm just
big
impressed
axe.
you know all the names, all right? You can say
Yeah.
them however you want.
Look, I'm
I
not
just
saying.
described
Don't
them.
judge this
Say
man
however-
because he knows them.
Yeah, I'm gonna say him however I want, but a really cool where he just is like, oh, by the way, I'm gonna just go swing,
Yeah.
and then stop and be like, if you were whole, this would have been a good fight.
Snap.
I was like, wow, that was cool. I do wish I would have seen that fight. Because one other thing I wanted to ask you guys, Jamie before was like, I can maybe take one person if they're slow, but then he holds his own against like Oberyn.
Yeah.
Who we were like, oh, Obra's gonna be amazing and throw the spear. And
Yeah.
why didn't she just throw the spear?
It was a bit of a pussy attempt, I think. Like, I mean, they were just sort of like, and then, you know, like whipping their whips around and stuff. They weren't really doing anything, like, they weren't really killing it too hard.
I mean, I liked the choreography where like he would get pulled, like Braun would get pulled with the whip, and then he'd come in and then whatever. But I just thought that there were some things where I was like, I think Jamie would die.
Although maybe, to be fair, I don't know if they were expecting to have a run-in right there. They were trying to get to Marcella before Jamie and Braun got there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
They were all trying to beat each other there.
right. A conflict wasn't necessarily what they were preparing themselves for.
Yeah,
Sure.
and a cool moment where Jamie used the hand to block.
Oh yeah.
That was really cool.
I told you he's gonna figure it out with that gold
He needs to
fist
get
of
a new
his.
hand that's like that or something, so he really has some surface area to like catch some blades.
And
And
you
he's
know?
always hanging 10,
And he's
dude.
always just doing these ones.
Do the Walking Dead, the Merle Walking Dead with a sword in his
Oh
hands.
yeah.
I don't know why he just doesn't put a sword in.
Yeah, I know.
Like a
This
bracer
isn't-
with a
this isn't-
sword.
this is not doing
and then he
anything
could
for
fight
him.
with the right hand with a sword.
What's he
All
doing with this?
Well, we digress.
Yeah.
So the next place to go,
Yep.
by the way, King's Landing. The
Good
tart-tongued versus the
The
tart.
tart.
I like that. That was a cool line.
You know, when that Queen of Thorns shows up, it's always a good time. You're always getting a good sparring match with the tongues.
With the tongues.
The tongues.
All right. I did like when she was like, hey, so obviously the crown doesn't need our wheat, our gold, or our men. So, right?
Right?
And Cersei was like, that's a veiled threat. And she was like, who said anything about veiled?
Yeah.
Like, that's a threat.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen.
So get my family member out of jail.
Yeah, absolutely. So I found it interesting how plainly Olenna always speaks. I mean, she's always very open, but you know,
great.
she was like, "Look, your dad and I didn't like each other, but you know, I respected him, and he obviously respected me, and he realized you should sort of respect and work with your rivals."
Yeah.
And man, Cersei just fired back with House Lannister has no rivals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so Cersei's just. Can we say it's safe to say that Cersei's just all out? Like the cards are on the table. She's not trying to like. I don't feel like she's hiding behind this thing. She's kind of being like, oh, I didn't arrest him.
Yeah.
but
She's
this
playing
is all out war.
She's
on
playing
Cersei's
this
part.
game, and she's like, I didn't arrest him. I don't have like they like release him. She's like, well, I don't have him. You know, she's doing this very nonchalant game here, and it's she needs to take some accountability. All right.
Right.
Wow.
You know.
But also so clever of her that when they got to the trial and things were not looking so great for not Lancel. Lancel's the
Loras.
Loras. They're
yeah.
not looking good for Loritz. She's the one who kind of steps up and she's like, how dare
Yeah.
how
She's
dare
pretty
we,
much like
this is a joke. Why are we going through this? Totally setting it up for we have an eyewitness.
she's pretty much like, oh no, don't do that.
Oh, no.
Oh, stop that. Oh shit. But I mean, like, so tell me here, like, how is the High? I thought first of all, I thought the High Sparrow was a good dude, and he's just going crazy on King's Landing.
Well,
but,
to be fair, he's not. The High Sparrow himself isn't actually doing anything wrong. He is just keeping people
Sure. All right.
moral.
But
in a way.
but how? So tell me, like, how has the High Sparrow come to so much power where obviously Tommen isn't even able to do anything? You know?
Oh
Right.
no, well.
Like, why
Okay, I'm
why
gonna-
isn't Tommen
yeah,
able to be
I'll-
like, oh, you want to arrest her? No, you won't. I'm the king. Do what I say. Like, where is this juxtaposition of power
Well,
come
because
from?
they do say that the church has, the laws of God are greater than the laws of man.
Okay, all right. So
this world.
that's what they're going with there.
Yeah,
think so.
in this holy inquest, he basically says that queens and kings are all subject to the holy inquest.
Yeah.
And, excuse me, and I think that the idea that Tommen couldn't do anything, I think legally Tommen can't because, like Alison said, the church is the one that, put the crown on his head. The High Septon put the crown on Tommen's head and all the kings.
Yeah.
So they need the church, but I don't think that Tommen couldn't have done anything, quote unquote, illegally.
Yeah.
It's just that his hand has stayed because Tommen's a kind and gentle dude. He doesn't want to see blood spilled. And I
he's
don't.
not quite a man yet.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think he's
So,
11.
I mean, like,
he's like
Joffrey-
11, 10 years old, something like that.
Like Joffrey, for
I don't
example.
think he's like 16 in the show.
Joffrey's a nutcase, but he wouldn't have let that happen. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like, he
you're
would
right.
have killed.
No.
He would have killed some people.
No, Joffrey definitely would have killed people. And I mean,
Yeah.
obviously the Kingsguard were like sitting there like, hey, so you want us to
Yeah,
cut
they're
these
like,
guys?
yeah, bro. Got the green light? Should we kill?
Yeah.
Should we do it?
Do we have the kill order? Do we have the kill order?
Thomas is like,
Don't know. Where's Sir Pounce? Sir Pounce would help.
Did anyone? Well, I mean, you guys were watching the show with me, so you knew my reaction. But as soon as Marjorie got up there and made her claim and she swore by the gods, I was like, oh no, this ain't ending well for her, because you knew that. I just knew when they brought it up there, and it's the first time I think that Marjorie's been put in a position where she hasn't been in control.
Yeah, and I think that was a really great call, because I think a lot of movies, TV do that type of thing where the lawyer or whatever just asks like one or two questions, and he's like, that's all. And you were just looking at like, oh, this High Septon has some kind of plan.
He's got a card up his sleeve.
Or something. Yeah, not going to go well.
Yeah.
No.
And everything's just unraveling how Cersei wants it to, right?
Yeah,
It
well,
always does.
except, I will point out one thing that we jumped over is Littlefinger. Shows up back in King's Landing. Apparently, he took a speedy horse.
Yeah.
Man, this guy just keeps flipping, flopping back and forth. Like, just when you think that maybe he's put Sansa in a good position, he goes and sells her out.
Well,
Come on,
that's the
man.
thing. So, like, it is so hard to keep up with him, right? So, I mean, so obviously he's turned everything so he wants to become Warden of the North. Cersei wants Sansa's head on a spike. Will he let that happen, or will he swoop in before that and marry her? Or, what do we think? I mean, we talked about this. What do you think?
I mean, I originally thought that his whole plan when he wanted to be named Warden of the North, it was like, oh, and then he's going to marry Sansa, because that's obviously always what he's wanted, to marry someone. If he can't have Catelyn Stark, he'll take the eldest daughter. Yeah. But then when Cersei was like, I want her head on a spike, I'm like, I don't know how he's going to get away from that one.
Yeah.
I'm really curious as to the political and maneuvers here, because he says, I want to be Warden of the North, and by the way, use my army to go enforce your justice at Winterfell.
Yeah.
Which to me just basically speaks to, hey, so I'm going to move my army, and you're going to be cool with it because it's totally on your side.
Yeah.
And now he's going to have his army over at Winterfell. That leaves open a lot of possibilities. Either the Vale, who's always been sort of the Vale, and the Eyrie and Winterfell have always been buddy lately in terms of the history, and so maybe they find that Sansa is in trouble, so now they go to the Stark banners again. They unite. Maybe it's something where having his army there, he can hook up with Stannis against Ramsay. I don't know.
I will say, I don't think that this is Littlefinger's final play. I think, I mean, every week it's like he flip-flops between, we think he's doing something awesome, and then, he's doing something terrible. So I'm not going to be shocked when next week you do find out that it was to get his army into a certain place, and then he actually does save Sansa, and he rebels against the Lannisters. Who knows? Littlefinger is such a wild card, and I love him and hate him for that.
That's it, and it's also a smart move how he's saying, like, let's let the two armies battle, and then we'll just swoop when they're licking their wounds. We'll swoop in when they're weak. It's like a smart move.
Yeah, and it was a total surprise. I think all three of us were like, oh wait, he just revealed that Sansa's up there. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like, so he really has to. I mean, everyone that's close to Littlefinger really has to have signed a non-disclosure agreement. Because, I mean, if any one of his people told Cersei or got out that he was the one that even, shipped her up there, has been with her for the last however many months, his story would really unravel very quickly. So it's like he must really trust the people around him. They might have supposed to really sign those NDAs,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Or they just die.
Yeah.
Or they're
What do you
just
say? They've seen what happens to people that disappoint me. Or
Yeah,
like that,
that's right. That's good. Good call. Hey, look at you throwing back to previous episodes. Proud of you.
I'm learning. Proud of you.
Proud of you.
Family Guy reference.
A girl is not ready to become no one, but she is ready to become someone else.
Yes.
That was pretty rad.
That was a mind-blowing moment, huh?
Hey, that was pretty cool. Remember, good stuff. Hey, remember, we're turning that frown upside down, guys. Good stuff.
She walked into a temple of faces.
Right. Well,
way to just jump ahead, Xavier.
Yeah, well.
Thanks, man. I had a whole sheet here.
Cutting the chit chat. Come on, let's go.
Man.
I will say one of the things we learned before the Temple of Faces is that those people are dead. I remember in a previous episode that I didn't think those people were actually dead once they drank out of it. I was like, I feel like they're in a coma or something. But no, pretty sure they're dead because they're using their faces to line this temple wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. they are dead.
They're
and
dead.
so we get the answer to what do they do with the bodies, which was what Arya again asked this episode. And the girl that I still don't know her name or
No.
whether she's blind or not, but
I know.
I still can't figure that one out. Anyways, Arya wants her to play Teacher of the Game of Faces, and she still says you're
I
not
thought
ready.
for a second that she just really lightened up and was like, you know what, I will tell you my story. And I was like,
Right.
oh, get out of town. And then she got evil again.
Really? You were a noble one too?
Yeah. Yeah. I was like,
So
oh,
odd.
sweet. Finally, they've connected. But,
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
sure.
Was that well? Okay. How
But
about
then
this?
Arya just flips it right around and uses it.
Was that true or was that a lie?
I think it was a lie.
Think the whole thing was a lie, or do you think there were parts of truth?
I wouldn't be surprised if that girl had her stepmother poisoned, but I would be shocked if she was actually a lord, a daughter of a lord in that whole thing.
Yeah. What about you, Xavier?
Yeah, I concur.
Because
Yep.
I think the point was she was teaching Arya how to relate to someone so they'll do what you need them to do, and that's what Arya did for the sick girl.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting because she did that for the sick girl, but earlier with Jaq and Hagar, she was trying to slip in
told her
lies. She was trying to slip in lies, and he kept slapping her every time she'd tell a lie.
Which lies?
I didn't think she was telling lies.
She was telling the
Oh,
truth.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Wait,
Right,
everything she
right.
said was the truth.
Story time with Uncle Adam here.
All right,
here
let's
we
go.
So you think when she said I hated the hound, he whipped her. You said you suggested
That was a lie.
Yeah. So I
But
mean,
no. Okay, so
What?
so
I'm so
in-
confused by you
yeah,
right now,
yeah.
Adam.
Well, let me
All
right,
let
go.
me
Come on,
blow
go.
your minds,
Let's go,
people.
let's
go.
All right, look. So she tells the story,
Right.
and she starts saying little untruths, little lies. She says, "I was taken," for instance. I'll give you guys the biggest one, where she says, "I was taken by a man named Polliver," and she gets slapped. No, his name was the Hound. Because she's slipping in little lies in the story. She's trying to basically do what I just said, keeping a true story, but making little parts of it lies. And every time she tells a little lie, she gets slapped. So by the end, when she says, "I hated the Hound," and gets slapped, we know that's a lie. Because she's already told a number of lies in her story that every time
I
she
picked
gets
up on-
slapped.
yeah,
This just
because
blew
it's a
my
lie.
mind. I didn't catch her saying any lies.
When you go back and watch it, there are little lies that she says, and every time she says a lie, she gets
yeah.
slapped.
Well, it's like she got slapped for saying the
Huh.
wrong name, and then like when he whipped her for saying she hated the hound. I was like, okay, cool. Like obviously she did have some form of affection for the hound.
Yeah,
But,
the other one was she said, "My dad died in combat." Slap.
Oh,
After
I
he
guess
was
I was just so
executed.
shocked that she was getting slapped for everything. I didn't realize that
Af-
what she was saying wasn't true.
Yeah.
After he was executed, I stabbed a stable boy in the back. Slap. Okay, it was in the gut.
Yeah.
Then,
Oh.
So
Oh
those
my
little
gosh,
truths. So then
wow,
when she
I didn't
says,
catch that at all.
Yeah.
but then she says what to her she thinks is truth. She says, "And I hated the Hound," and he slaps her. She says, "No, I did hate him. That's not a lie.
Right.
I did the other lies. This is not a lie."
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
He keeps slapping her.
Right.
cool.
Wow,
So-
that scene is way cooler now that I've realized what it was about.
Yeah.
Mind's
job.
blown.
Good job, Allison.
Well, with that in mind, do you agree with Jaq and Hagar that that was a lie? That she hated the Hound, or do you think?
Oh, I absolutely do not think she hated the Hound.
Okay.
I was-
I
was
really
even-
think that she became pretty buddy-buddy with the
I was
Hound.
surprised she didn't just kill him to put him out of his misery. To be honest, I was surprised that she let him die a miserable long death.
But I actually think that's because she was, she stands there so long making her decision. I think it's because she had to remind herself that he was on her list.
Fair enough.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's awesome what has happened with the Arya storyline. We've seen this haul of many faces, 1,000 faces, thousands of faces. I don't know, but really rad. I think there's going to be a lot of cool stuff there, especially because Jaqen basically says, "Hey, so you're going to get to be somebody else."
Yeah. I want to know how she actually puts on the face.
Hopefully we'll find that out next episode.
I have a theory. I have a real quick theory before
Yeah.
we jump on, because I know we do have to get a move on, but I have a real quick theory here. I don't think she's going to put a face on the next time. I think that means to be no one, and she's just going to be someone else. She's going to be Arya with looking Arya, but she's going to just go pretend to be someone else, like she did for the little girl when she lied to the little girl.
Yeah, maybe.
Interesting.
That's my theory.
All right, cool concept.
So by the way,
Yeah.
every single week I give you guys a note to self.
Note to
Get
self.
you guys, I give you guys these notes to self, kind of some thoughts to think about that Game of Thrones teaches us. What did Game of Thrones teach us this week? This week, Game of Thrones taught me nothing, but taught Sansa Stark something incredible. Don't ever get married. Just don't get married. Stop doing that, Sansa. Bad idea.
How does it keep getting worse for this girl? I thought it was finally just maybe maybe getting better. Like we saw Sansa finally growing and learning how to play the Game of Thrones. And then it just goes horribly, horribly wrong.
I feel like all of us are a little bit down today after watching that episode.
Yeah.
Like I feel, because I don't even know what to say. Because there was an awesome scene, Alison, just following up what you just said. There was the awesome scene before that, which was like with Miranda, where she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, what's your name again?"
Yeah.
Miranda. Yeah, I'm Sansa Stark. This is my home. I'm not going to be afraid of you.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, this is okay, great. We're seeing
She's having her moment.
Sansa's going, she's rising up.
Yeah, and I was like wondering as well, because I mean, obviously Sansa knew it was their wedding night, that sex intercourse is probably going to happen, and she probably would have done it consensually. I mean, Ramsay is a nutcase, but it's like he would have. Obviously, he just prefers to rape people, because I mean, she would have done it consensually anyway.
Would she
right?
have? I don't know if she would have. I think she
would have.
I think she did not have time to prep herself once she got to that room. You know what I mean? Like, he basically was like, "Okay, let's get to it." She was given no time to be like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
I think she would
there's
have.
no like
though.
lead up.
That's
Yeah,
part of
there's
it.
no.
I think there's agreement on both sides.
Yeah.
From me, I think what you're saying is that she knew it was going to be her wedding. She knew it was going to be her wedding night.
Yeah.
So they were going to consummate the marriage, because that's what you have to do in Westeros, is you have to have sex to consummate the marriage, or else it's not official.
Yeah.
Right.
So she knew that was going to happen, but I'm agreeing with Alison where Theon and Ramsay let her into the room, and she's like, "Okay, so this is the room. I'm going to go get on the bed,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
whatever."
Right.
And then Ramsay was like, "Yeah, so take off your clothes."
Right.
Yeah, and then just ripped it.
And then was like, "Oh, and Theon, you stay
Watch.
and watch."
Oh God, and Alfie Allen. What an amazing shot of just tears streaming down his face. Oh, I can't even imagine. I mean, that's why that scene is so horrible to watch, is you're watching it through his eyes.
I think that's the second scene that I have no desire to go back and rewatch. I have no desire to go back and rewatch Oberyn's death.
Oh,
I have no desire to go back and rewatch
Sansa's wedding night.
Yeah,
the
Sansa's
third,
wedding night.
third time is not a charm for Sansa.
Hey, I have a real quick question, though.
Yes.
By the way, you like my, hey, by the way.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. When she was walking up for the wedding, how cool of a shot was it with all the candles
That
and
was
everything?
gorgeous.
Yeah.
But was that purposely done where it was like, hey, we're going to show you a bunch of candles so you all think about candles and you all
Right,
think
to
about
go
the fact
light
that candles
the
are supposed to be up in the...
Yeah, go light a candle in the tower, Sansa.
That's the
Brienne
thing
will
with
come save you.
that's the flaw in the candle plan. It's like, how is she supposed to excuse herself from getting raped so she can go and light a candle in the the highest room of the tower real quick? Like, there needs to be a quicker alarm that they can set up for this girl, because
Right.
I mean, you can't be like, "Oh, you want to rape me? Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go light a candle."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Pretty rough stuff, guys. And
Pun not intended.
not intended at all. I think all of us, I even said, I was like, guys, I kind of don't even want to talk about this, because it's no fun. But we are talking about it. We want to talk to you guys about it. We always get the fan questions. And like I said, I know we have a lot of fan responses to that particular subject. But as we pointed out with our show, there were a lot of other subjects to talk about, which we got to. And we have a couple fan questions to go with those. And of course, those people used the hashtag
WIC. Woo!
They used the hashtag
Nailed it.
WIC. So the first fan question that we have is from @BKBoy2398. And he asks, do you feel this episode satisfied some of the buzz created about Dorne?
Ooh, kind of not yet for me, at least. I mean, I'm glad that we got to see a bit more in the Water Gardens, but really all we've seen is the Water Gardens and, some like dusty, deserty, kind of planty area with horses. I don't have like a scope of what Dorne is yet.
The house words of Stark are winter is coming.
Right.
A Lannister always pays his debts, of course, the Lannisters. And then the cool one that's obviously the title of this episode is Unbowed, Unbent, Unbroken. Those are the house words of House Martell.
Right.
And I'm going to agree with you. I don't feel like we've gotten the scope of that, because a Lannister always pays his debts. We got that one. We got Winter is Coming. Those ones all make sense to us. Unbowed, Unbent, Unbroken sounds awesome. And I pointed out how they were the only ones not to kneel, not to be overrun by the Targaryens or to be conquered.
Well, you know what? We haven't seen a Dornish army yet.
Yeah.
We've only seen basically individuals or like 2 or 3 at a time. I want to see an army. I want to see what it looks like when the Dornish fight together.
Well, if the whole thing was there was going to be 3 sand snakes, that's the number of sand snakes, and Ilaria Sand says, hey, I got them on my side, And that's the plan. And you have like 20 men. Why not just go stand next to Marcella? Why even not be standing there?
Yeah.
To begin with, because they've only got 3 people.
Yeah.
Right.
Just be like, we're gonna go put 20 guys in.
Right.
Sure.
We don't have enough scope of door.
Sorry,
yet.
Xavier.
No,
We
I was going to say, I
kinda-
agree. I don't feel like we really explored too much more than we already had in previous episodes. We've seen, the beach parts. We've seen sort of the water gardens. It didn't satisfy me. And I want to see, I want to see the army. I want to see the town. I want to see the kingdom, pretty much, and what they got going on back there.
But you know what? I think it's good it didn't satisfy us because it just means there's always more.
There's
and
gonna
we have
be more.
We have more to look forward to.
Sure.
So awesome question from BK Boy. Thank you very much. Moving on to our next question is from @Thoros_X_WIC. So they bring an Esquire to testify against Loras and Marge, but Lancel isn't dropping a bomb on Cersei? Question mark. Basically, the bomb referring to, of course, the fact that what Lancel said in the first episode was like, hey, by the way, you had me put all that sleepy stuff in, or whatever I put in the wine for Robert, and you basically had him killed, and we all know those aren't your kids.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason he hasn't dropped the bomb on Cersei is because Cersei's the one who gave the High Sparrow his power. Cersei's working with the High Sparrows
he would
right
be
now,
at fault for it too, because
well, he was sleeping with her.
Well, he was sleeping with her, and he had a part in killing King Robert. Yeah, so it's like it would sort of fall on him as well. So maybe that's why.
So maybe he's not quite as pious or righteous as he thinks he was, because getting branded on his head isn't the same as admitting to something that will get him killed.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I would say he's just playing it close to the chest, I guess. But he definitely could drop that bomb. But I think there's a lot of reasons not to, mainly his life.
Right.
Yeah. But good question, Thoros X_WIC. And the last one, of course, that we want to go over this subject with the fans here is Sansa. How could we not talk about Sansa with the fans? Many of you wrote in, and here are just a few to go over. The first one is from @RussellXJones. Am I the only one who is expecting Sansa or Theon to bow, bend, and then break Little Ramsay Jr.? The next one we have is Palvi
I just realized what he meant by
1924.
Ramsay
Yeah,
Jr.
1924. Says, can we just kill Ramsay? Followed by @Nobmatis. Today's episode pretty much sums up why Daenerys burns people alive. And of course, @NormsS says, weddings in Westeros. No good comes from them.
No.
So a lot of fan reaction, a lot of fan outrage, just disbelief, because I think we all share it with you guys, and it's good to hear you guys reacting so strongly, because that's exactly how we were reacting. Thank you so much for getting your questions and comments in there, and of course using the hashtag WIC, which we want to use every episode and during the week to get us your thoughts. Lightning round, guys.
Yeah.
Woo!
Lightning round. Final 3 thoughts.
All right.
You ready? Allison's ready? Xavier, you ready?
Yeah, good.
All right, here we go. First one. How do you wish this episode would have ended with Sansa in that room and situation? How do you wish that
Reek killed Ramsay. That's what I wanted. I want him to. I was thinking it was going to happen. I don't know, like when he was crying, and I was waiting for him to sort of like tense up and go, "That's it. Enough mental torture. This guy's going down. It's time to happen. I'm going to grab Sansa and we're going to get out of here."
Yeah.
I wanted him to just come up and just go, cut his throat or do something cool and get her out of there.
I absolutely thought, I was like, if not Reek, I thought Sansa might kill him. When she started slowly untying the sleeve of her dress, I was like, she's got a dagger up there. I was like, oh, that's how this is going to turn out. She's going to flip around and just stab him right in the heart, and then Reek's going to help her escape. And then none of that happened.
They positioned
it was all terrible.
They positioned it a little bit with just her, Sansa's little rebellion, even in the bath, like showing she'd like run some balls a little bit. So I agree
And I
with
thought
you.
she was like playing like Littlefinger's words over in her head, like take your revenge, win back the North, that kind of thing. I was
Adam,
like,
what are you thinking? I'm gonna throw out this one real fast.
All right.
Although I like all of those options. I wish, because Miranda left her and Sansa was alone, I wish when Sansa was alone, she went and lit that candle, and in the door came Brienne and Pod.
Well, you know what?
Anything would have been better than what happened.
All of this still could happen because it ended
That's
while
true.
it was happening.
That's
So
true.
I mean,
It
the
could pick up
opening of next
immediately.
episode could be a little throat slicing.
But it will not stop the fact that Sansa is no longer
Her
a virgin.
flower has been crushed.
Yeah.
Thanks, Xavier.
Crushed.
Okay.
All right, next.
Great.
Ramsey crushing.
I hope it's not
Nope,
another,
not getting
I hope it's
not getting
another
any better,
Sansa question.
Xavier. Here we go.
Stop.
So the next one is, if you could wear anyone's faces from the show, from the series, whose would it be? Whose face would you wear?
Oh, like if you were Arya and you could.
Yeah,
choose a face?
if you were Arya and you could choose a face from any of the characters, whose face would you wear and why? Xavier.
Jaime Lannister's a good-looking rooster. I'd go for him. He's great. He's a good-looking fella.
rooster.
I would go for him.
I have my
Oh,
own,
you put me on the spot.
I
didn't
have
think
my
about
own
it, too.
personal reasons for choosing Dario Naharis, but
Oh.
what you guys think
I
about
think
that one?
I think that's the same reason I'm gonna choose Ygritte, even though she's dead. I don't care. I want that cave time.
Yeah, I feel like none of us are making the realm a better place.
No.
We're all just very vain or interested
Oh
in some
yeah, I
other
probably would have gone
things.
Jon Snow. He's great. I panicked. I gotta stick with Jaime. Whatever.
Yeah. Hey,
Well,
you
we'll
sleep with your sister.
Yeah, whatever. She's up.
Yeah. The episode was, of course, dark
Yeah.
with the ending, and we want to leave you guys on a bright spot, on a happy note. And that is with this question. Who made you laugh the most in this episode? Would you say it was Bronn, Olenna, or Tyrion? Or maybe a third person?
Or fourth.
Or fourth.
Or fourth, whatever. Hey, I count numbers good.
For me, yeah, geez, Bronn and Tyrion are on so level, but I'm gonna go with Tyrion, man. He's great. I love him. He's always hilarious.
Yeah. I'd probably go. I'd probably go the Queen of Thorns. Just
Yeah?
with her comeback of being like, oh, the tart, and I was like, oh snap.
Damn.
Oh, and especially when she was leaning back and being like, we both know you're not writing anything. I'm like,
She's
I
real.
love her. I wish she was in more
Olenna
episodes.
keeps it real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll choose Bronn then, because you guys took the other ones, and I would say that Tyrion is hilarious. But Bronn, man,
He's got those one-liners.
he's just, and that's why Bronn and Tyrion, man, you're right. They're just, they're on the same level, and
Bronn's
this
got
one,
so much
Bronn just
swag.
worked.
He just doesn't care about nothing.
And I think, and then he even had the last line where he was like, oh, you fight pretty good for a girl.
Yeah, he was even like
Or swing that whip, yeah.
he was even like taunting her while he's getting taken away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course
He's
he
like,
was.
Yeah, so I think I have to throw it to that one. So, dark episode all over. Our episode all over. We want to hear you guys' comments, questions, concerns. We've already heard a few of them. Remember, hashtag WIC. Can't say it enough. Use that hashtag. Get us all your stuff and your things concerning Game of Thrones. And of course, on behalf of myself, on behalf of Xavier, Alison, thank you so much for watching, for joining us. And we hope that you will check out winteriscoming.net as well as entertainmentweekly.com so you guys can see all the good stuffs and things and all of the Game of Thrones-ness. Until next week, thanks so much to FanSided and the Stream.tv. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.
The Games of Thrones-ness.
The Games of Thrones-ness. I don't know, rumors, speculation.